Tim Smith and Bob Arum have a different opinion on how realistic a Spence Crawford mega fight is for 2020. Who's right? We answer that next. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Share on all forms of social media. Welcome to another edition of Friday Check Hook. The best fight, not necessarily the biggest fight, but certainly the best fight that can be made in boxing is being talked about again. Errol Spence versus Terence Bud Crawford. Which, assuming Spence beats Porter, a potential Crawford-Spence fight would then unify 3/4 of the welterweight brass, leaving only the WBA belt outstanding, a belt that is currently held by legendary Manny Pacquiao. So here's what we have so far. Tim Smith of PBC said there's no budget for the fight, and that it's not a pay-per-view fight. Okay, it's not a pay-per-view fight, and there's no budget for it. Let's address that. Errol Spence just did a huge pay-per-view against Mikey Garcia. 400,000 pay-per-view buys. Plus, they sold 50,000 tickets, okay, in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Spence versus Garcia was a unmitigated success. And he's now doing another pay-per-view with Sean Porter. Porter doesn't do good ticket sales or ratings. So, Terence Crawford has sold more pay-per-views than either Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter combined when he fought Errol Spence, right? Like before fighting Errol Spence, Porter and Garcia had sold a total of 0 pay-per-views. So Crawford sold more than both of them combined. Now his 2 pay-per-view numbers aren't great, but Crawford is certainly a bigger star than either of those guys. So when Tim Smith says that Bud isn't, when Tim Smith says Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence isn't a pay-per-view fight, he's being ridiculous, right? Bud is a way bigger star by all measures, by all metrics, than is Porter or is Garcia. And Garcia was a massive, unmitigated success. Porter's not a star. He just isn't. He doesn't sell tickets, and he doesn't do television ratings. He's sold 0 pay-per-views in his whole life, and he's 30-some years old. But that's a pay-per-view fight. It ain't selling well either, by the way, but we can get into that later. But Bud Spence, which everyone is chatting about, which would be a mega fight, there's no budget for it, and it's not a pay-per-view fight? Come on, man. Come on. That's silly. I mean, that's a Spence-Crawford unification fight, assuming Crawford and Spence both win their next fights later this year. So a 2020 Spence-Crawford unification fight would do minimum 400 to 500 pay-per-view sales, at least. Whereas Spence Porter will do something, I say around about 300,000, 250 to 300,000. Porter's not a star. Porter doesn't have a fan base. No one really cares about Sean Porter. He's an excellent fighter. He's a very good fighter. But he doesn't have a following. He doesn't have a fan base. So let's be real. Tim Smith saying that is nonsense. It's a throwaway. It's not even to be taken seriously. Both guys say they're A-sides. Both guys think that they're the A-side, that they sell the fight. So the fight organically sells itself. Look, if PBC doesn't want it, right, if they don't want to put it on Fox because they don't think it'll make any money, fine. ESPN will air it because they think Terence Crawford will sell the fight. If ESPN doesn't want it, Fox should want it because Errol Spence will sell the fight because he's already sold the pay-per-view for them. Look, when both guys think that they're the A side, then let's make the fight, right? Because they'll generate the revenue. The fight sells itself. You can't say there's no money in the fight and that, you know, there's no budget, there's no revenue, and it's not a pay-per-view fight, with both fighters think that they're the A side. If both guys say, I can sell the fight, then it will get sold. Look, I want to try to explain that because that's a little confusing what I'm trying to say. I was a stockbroker for years, and I want to explain this, right? If we had an IPO, if I was given an IPO to take public, right, and my boss came to me and said, you won't be able to sell it, there's no value in it, it's not a good company, it's not priced right, whatever, I'd say, get out of my face. I know it can be sold because I'm the one who's going to be selling it. I'm the one selling it, so I can sell it. I'm the star. I can sell what can't be sold, okay? So I've sold worse IPOs in the past. I can sell this one. I can make us all money. If you get out of my way, I will sell it. I will make us all money. We will all be better off. We will all be happy. Because I can sell it, and I know it can be sold because I'll be the one selling it. That's it. That's the pitch. The fight will be sold because I will sell it. And that's what both fighters would say, right? I'm the pay-per-view star. I can sell the fight. So it's not lucrative. It's a self-defeating, ridiculous throwaway. Pay no mind to that. There's plenty of money involved, and everyone here knows. Just like my bosses couldn't come to me and say, this IPO can't be sold. Yes, I can, because I'm the one that's going to sell it. That's the same thing Crawford and Spence would say. There's plenty of money in it because I'm the one that sells it. You know, Bob Arum has then taken the complete opposite stance. He says the fight is getting made. He said that Spence Porter fight is one-sided. And look, we all know Spence is going to win. It's obvious. It's a different level. Look, Porter is very good. Spence is great. That's the difference. So Arum is right about that. Arum goes on to say that Spence will have two options, Manny Pacquiao or Terence Crawford. And Pacquiao won't fight Spence. I agree. That's what Arum said. Arum said Pacquiao won't fight Spence. I think he's absolutely right about that too. Pacquiao ain't fighting Spence. I think Rhodes told him a while ago not to fight the big two. That's Bud or Spence. And he avoided Bud for years when they were both over at Top Rank. And I don't think he's going to be chomping at the bit to fight Spence, right? Like think back. Pacquiao was in the ring when Mikey Garcia fought Errol Spence. He was ringside. Spence wins. He gets into the ring. You know, he's asked, "Would you fight Spence next?" Spence was all about it. Pacquiao said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Right? I think that's what he said. The next week, he asked on social media, "Who should I fight next?" He didn't even mention Errol Spence's name. Pacquiao put a poll on his social media, who should I fight next? He didn't even put Errol Spence as an option. So I agree with Bob Arum on that. Manny Pacquiao is not fighting Terence Crawford and he's not fighting Errol Spence. What I don't agree with Bob Arum on is this. The relative ease that fight gets made. Arum says after each guy takes one more fight this year in 2019, that fight will get made in 2020. The Bud Spence fight will be done. I don't think it's that easy. I think PBC is going to be ultra protective and try to keep Errol Spence money in the PBC circle. Also, Spence was never keen on fighting Bud. When Crawford first announced he was moving up to welterweight, he said he wanted to fight Errol Spence. And Spence said to get a belt off Jeff Horn and then they could talk. He got the WBO belt off of Horn. And then Spence said, well, Sean Porter got a belt too. Remember the famous face-off at the Hooker Salcedo fight? Errol Spence said, well, Sean Porter has a belt too. Why wouldn't I just fight Sean Porter? Why wouldn't I take the easy route? And why not? That's a good question. I'll answer Errol Spence. Because you said to Bud Crawford to go get a belt and then come see me. That's what you said. He got that belt. No more excuses. I don't think Spence is necessarily ducking Bud. But I think he's perfectly fine not fighting him, if that makes sense, right? I think he's perfectly fine fighting the PBC stable and staying away from Terence Crawford. Now, if the fight came up and he was guaranteed $10, $20 million, he'd probably take it. But if that offer didn't come up, he's not going to push for it. If Spence wanted the fight, really wanted it, he would have gotten it by now. Errol Spence is my guy. Y'all know that. He's absolutely my guy. Dallas, Texas. He's a heck of a human being, a heck of a fighter. And that being said, he doesn't want to fight Bud. He's not overly excited to fight Bud. He's fine with an Errol Spence, Terence Crawford mega fight not getting made. He's fine with that. Look, we all know who the two best 147 pounders are. That we do know. That is something that we do know. We know who the top 247 pounders are. It's between two men and only two men. What we don't know is of those two, who's number one? We don't know who the best welterweight is. We know who the two best are. We don't know who the best one is. And they got to fight each other. It's the best fight that can be made in all of boxing. It's the best guys, the best two American fighters, I think, in the world, in their prime. Let's get the fight made. Because it's not going to stay around forever. If it doesn't get made, it's an insult to boxing. Like, get the first fight in. You can build a rivalry here. Build like an epic trilogy between these two American welterweights who are the two best American fighters, pound for pound. They have you have two amazingly skilled and talented welterweights, both peaking, and now's the perfect time to make that fight. Don't let it slip away. Don't let Crawford be 35 years old and then have it, well, he was too old. Let's get this fight done now. Let's say it happens next, early in 2020. After both guys win their fights in 2019. Let's say it happens then. You could easily get a rematch. And what if they split the rematch, it's 1-1. You get a rubber match. This can be epic because there's still time left. They're both in their prime. We can get 2 and 3 fights out of these guys. And they're the two best fighters. But they got to step in the ring. And I think Tim Smith's comments are a throwaway. I think Bob Arum is oversimplifying it. I think it's going to take some work. But if both guys really want it, it will get made. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think these guys will fight in 2020 or not? How close do you think they are? How far apart do you think they are? Leave your thoughts, comments below. Please smash the like and subscribe button. Share in all forms of social media. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. For another episode of Friday Check Hook, from Texas to the world, this is 3D Boxing saying thank you and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.